Hey everyone, it's me, Ian from the Postal Hub Podcast.
And Marek from Last Mile Expert.
And we are the Last Mile Prophets, and we're returning to the ongoing topic of the ownership of Hermes. Hermes, the carrier, has been looking around for strategic partners. Is that code, Marek, for saying we're up for sale? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure as well. I think we can certainly say we're up for having an investor. If sale means control, I'm not sure.
So we discussed in a recent episode about the potential deal with FedEx. FedEx looking to take over the Hermes, not take over, but get involved with the Hermes network in continental Europe. But then there's Hermes in the UK, and an organisation that you know quite a bit about, Marek, which could be sniffing around. What's happening?
Well, first of all, these are all rumours, and we need to start with that. But they could
We'll entitle this the rumour file, perhaps.
Absolutely. So the rumour is that Advent International, which is a big private equity, but what's more important, they are the owners of InPost.
So they know a bit about the last mile.
Yeah, they know about the last mile, and InPost knows even more about the last mile. And InPost has a challenge in the UK because they have too many lockers to treat it as a pilot, but too few to create a going concern.
Because they've got a network of something like 1,000. They recently added another 40 in certain train stations. So it is growing, but it's not close to, say, Finland, for example.
Indeed. They've also got the pilot project with Lidl. But the issue is the UK is about 66 million people. And you know my golden rule?
One per 10,000 off the top of my head.
Which would mean 6,600. And surprise, surprise, the two networks that have some kind of success in out-of-home are Royal Mail, who have, I think, about 11,000, and Collect Plus, who have about 7,000.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way that post offices are used in Royal Mail's out-of-home network is different. But anyway, let's just move on to
what... They've got the coverage.
Yeah, they have. They have a footprint, others, don't they? They've got a big footprint and they're visible.
Absolutely. And InPost's challenged, amongst other things, is the fact that they just didn't have enough of these machines and the network was not complete. They didn't have the coverage, etc., etc. Now, we don't know, first of all, even if it's true, we don't know what part of Hermes we'd be talking about. The logical one for me would be the PUDO network, which is around about, I think, 4,500 PUDOs. So if you add 1,000 lockers to that, you start getting very, very close to an MVP. So that could be quite sexy. The other issue they've got is the delivery to the lockers and collection from the locker. So it could be part of the last mile capability in terms of courier business, but I see that more difficult to split up. And then the third one, I don't know where that's gone recently, but I'm sure you recall the lifestyle business that Hermes has, where you have the soccer mums, as it were, delivering like an Avon lady or something.
Forgotten about that. Yeah. Well, I mentioned this in our previous video talking about culture and reputation and things like that, because Hermes in the UK has struggled a little bit with its image. It's been perceived as the lowest cost carrier for B2C e-commerce. And I know that they were trying to overhaul this image and try to enter into a more customer-centric delivery experience. Could this be part of the thinking here, is that, well, we need to invest in better IT systems or pay our drivers more or whatever, or take more control over our fleet in order to really compete in the last mile? And a tie-up with Advent, if it means that you can then add a bigger out-of-home network, could that make Hermes stronger overall in the UK market?
Well, first of all, knowing PE, I can't imagine that Advent, if they did go into this, would go in without a view to having a controlling stake. So the winner will not be Hermes, it will be Advent's shareholders in the long run, or Advent's investors. Hermes may be a tactical winner if they get rid of a business that either they can't have for competitive, anti-competition reasons, which could be the case, or for other commercial reasons. So let's assume that it's one of those two, and effectively Hermes are more or less out of the picture or have limited involvement, which would be typical for private equity. So then the question more, I think, would be, how can InPost and therefore Advent benefit? And for me, the answer is obvious. They don't have a going concern at the moment. I think they've had I know they've had great success in Poland. So Poland is now, the box is ticked and they can look at other things. I think they took too long to do it and they've lost a lot of opportunity, but better late than never. If they can carpe diem here on Hermes, and if it's the right bit, if it was the PUDO bit, it would be super cool, I believe.
Because there was a comment made on one of our recent posts by Sam Clark, one of the founder of Newt Cargo, and now, sorry Sam, I can't remember the company that you're with now, it slipped my mind, but he said that parcel lockers, in his opinion, aren't part of the culture in the UK. Let's say that's right. Well, then PUDOs seem to be a part of the culture, given that there's so many large PUDO networks. When I say so many, there's not many, but more than in most other countries, there are independent of the post other major PUDO networks. So could Advent think, well, we're not going to overinvest in lockers in the UK, we're going to focus on other things and then see if we can bring the lockers in later on? Or is that sort of counter to your take of get out there with a big network, partner with other carriers, which is probably another question. Would the lockers be...
Absolutely.
Let's ignore everything else I was about to say. Let's ask that question. If InPost went in, would the lockers and the PUDOs be locked in to the Hermes delivery network?
Let me just answer the first question because I think it was a really important one. So I would tend to argue with Sam that actually not part of the culture because there basically are very few lockers. This time I'll surprise you and I won't use a military example, I'll use a banking example.
Right.
UK had checks for many, many years, even though most of Europe went to electronic payments. PUDOs are a manual version of a locker. So it's the same sort of concept. They do the same thing. And I believe the two work together, as you know. So it's super complementary. And what Advent can do is they can start with this PUDO locker network, giving something close to the minimum viable number of points for coverage, and then expand it. So it makes an awful lot of sense. So that's perhaps the answer to the first question. So, I'd argue that the two do work together. They're complementary, not competitive.
So then on the question was your favourite. How can you forget? Should lockers be open versus closed lockers? I mean, we haven't got long left, by the way, Marek. So
very quickly, the last one is either you integrate with several e-commerce players and other customers, which is a nightmare, or you integrate with 3 or 4 carriers. To integrate with 3 or 4 carriers, you need to be an agnostic network. You cannot compete with them. So I hope that InPost will have learned the lesson and will create now an open network, work with everyone, including the key carriers. And I think then they've got a real chance of success because although Collect Plus, I think, is doing a great job, so far they're the only kid on the block with any scale. And let's see how this pans out.
So it could potentially shake up the last mile in the UK, make it interesting for customers as well, if it means that customers have better, as in recipients have better choices when it comes to the last mile and more choices when it comes to out of home. So something for us to watch. And if you have an opinion on this, as always, comment below. That's what the comment section is for, to generate discussion, for people to talk amongst themselves, to disagree with us.
God forbid, disagree with us.
Oh, yeah. Marek, have you seen the comments under our cargo bikes video? Anyway.
Good one, wasn't it?
So whether you're a member of the cargo bike mafia or whether you're into parcel lockers or whatever it is, or if you have an opinion on Hermes or on the last mile in the UK, comment below. Share what you think on this matter. We'll be keeping a close eye on it. Marek Różycki from Last Mile Experts. Thanks for being part of this episode of The Last Mile Profits.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ian. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed this episode of The Last Mile Profits.
Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button and also the notifications bell so you get a notification every time we add a new video to this channel. Look forward to sharing more stuff with you on The Last Mile Profits.